welcome everybody to the new show of BTC.com. Because we are a website, we do have a following out there, and I want all of you to remember that. Treat us like a podcast with like millions of followers, and eventually we will. Anyway, we've been talking about a few different things recently, and by we,
Tim,
I mean me and my
your
wonderful co-hosts.
Oh, you
with
did
me
it.
right now
You did it.
Is
Daniel Brown
and
John Stewart.
I'm proud of you, Tim. I am proud of you.
I mean, I'm doing good right now. I got my whiskey with me.
You should
It's gonna
pretty
be a
much
good
just
show.
be the main host from now on.
I'm pretty much the only person on this show that anybody actually listens for at this point, Daniel.
You're the Cantwell of you, me, and BTC.
Yeah, I'm the one holding up LRFN.
And Cantwell is pretty much the Trump of libertarians.
So I'm going to be anti-PC because. Wait, why? Just because.
Yeah, what's up for today?
Anyway, I'm here with my two buddies, and the last couple episodes that we've done, we've had kind of some similar topics. We've been talking a lot about, well, I don't really know, probably like corruption or just bad business practices versus other things. I think that's kind of where our focus has been. So today,
I wouldn't say our focus. We just happened to mention it here and there a couple of times recently, and so we started thinking about it more and said, let's do an episode about it. About morality and business practice, and it brings in clickbait and banking. Last week we talked about a bank that was screwing over a customer, and so we kind of brought some random ideas to the forefront here.
It brought us around back, and we decided to give it a little bit of a talk. We've had some talks about morality stuff before, as far as various
like trolley problem memes and whatnot.
Yeah, like had the real hard-hitting moral questions that really affect you in your life. But this week, we want to go, and we don't want to deal with what you say. We want to deal with what you do in your real life. And I just will say right off the bat that I win this automatically, but you'll see from my other co-hosts how they've kind of given up the flag as far as
Are you getting at how we don't want to talk about other people's morals? We're talking about our morals right here on the show, and you're claiming that you're going to have the best morals? Is that what you're getting at?
No, I was claiming that my job's shitty, but
it has the best morals.
Yeah.
All right.
So I guess,
right.
kind of what you were saying.
All right.
I don't
so
like letting
what's
other
the main
people
issue
speak for me, though. Well, you wanted to talk about clickbait stuff at first. We actually,
that's a
got
part
us
of it,
starting to talk about this right at the beginning is before we started recording, we were talking about stuff we had done in the past for money online, and besides my brief stint as a cam boy on YouTube before they started demonetizing all this shit. It's ridiculous. Anyway, we talked about how I think all of us at one point or another did one of those websites where they kind of outsource writing really shitty articles on really, really shitty websites that I don't understand
with
why
a
people
million
go
ads.
Yeah. It's literally you open up the page and there's ads on the side. One pops up and gets in your way, and you're like, I just came here to read poetry, and it's shitty poetry, but you get your fill of the ads.
Now that I think about it, that actually makes me feel better about my current job, which we're going to talk about a little bit. But even as bad as the ads are on the sites I currently run, they are nowhere near as bad as they were on those sites we originally wrote for. So actually that makes me feel better. But yeah, we did. Tim, I forget who found it first, but Tim, myself, and did you write for Tryon too, John?
I don't know. I might have done like one or two, but I don't think I did it often.
All right. Well, yeah, we were in high school, and we just found this website where you could make a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of money for writing articles online. And so we did it, and I was so proud. Like a year after I wrote this one article about RuneScape, I had made like $25 or maybe even 50. I forget, but after a whole year, I accumulated that much ad revenue, and I was finally able to get paid, and I was so proud of that, so suck it. Anyway,
so
what does
here,
this
Mom
have
and
to
Dad,
do with...
computers can make you money.
Actually, I've told people fairly recently that that's exactly why I'm here where I am today, is because my parents didn't think that computers were ever worth a damn, so now I live my life on them. but that's another story. Tim, what does all this writing stuff have to do with business morals and whatever?
Well, the way I got into it was I was thinking of how I would do those articles, which is pretty much just look at Wikipedia for 5 minutes, kind of figure out, because I remember I wrote like an article about like how to remove moisture from a tent, and I had never been camping. And I was just looking up.
I was never even like in a camper.
No, yeah, I mean, I had no idea, and they're just like, well, what you need to do is you need to wash as soon as you get back. You need to wipe it down, then air it out, but not. You need to turn it inside out, but not for too long. And it's just all the like stuff like that, or like how to. I think I definitely wrote one with like dogs with like some stupid illness, like Alzheimer's in dogs or something, and like the ways you can prevent it.
Tim, you've had stupid dogs before, haven't you?
Yeah, but they were just stupid their entire lives. All you do is just hit them a little bit extra harder. But it was like 5 minutes, look at Wikipedia, then just go back and forth between Wikipedia and the article that you're writing and kind of change around the words a little bit. And then that got us to, we were talking about the ads and how things get like very, very clickbaity. And that's one way of making money online, because then you don't have to stop anybody from stealing your content. I mean, you have to worry about people using ad blocker or stuff like that, but you don't have to worry about people, as I should say, quote unquote, stealing your content, or, I mean, if you're writing something, copy and pasting it, because it wasn't like this article I put out was very protected. It's just, I think you and I actually both put up our book reports that we did during school. Well, and I think at the end of mine, I was like, you can use it if you really want to.
That brings up a good point that I was just thinking of is that's the idea of just going to Wikipedia and taking a few sentences and changing them around. That's exactly what our schools were a little bit okay with, and most schools, that's like what they expect you to do when you write a paper. Like all you do is just find information and just regurgitate it. And that's, a lot of people take issue with that, probably pretty fairly, because I don't know. I don't know.
Are you kind of getting at the fact that, I mean, besides it being clickbaity, like, I guess we should talk about what isn't clickbaity, and that's...
No, well, I was just taking the opportunity to take a hit at traditional schooling. That's all I was doing there.
Well, I'll take a hit at traditional schooling, and just as a short aside, I was listening to a podcast today. They were talking about how journalism just in general at this point is from a mainstream position for any kind of the issues are just, it's so, ends up being so bipartisan. And you were talking about this a little bit, Daniel, but this guy on the podcast was talking about, because he was getting the news from MSNBC, and it was about Hillary like passing out at a 9/11 memorial. And he's like, and on the podcast they played it, and so they have these anchors in the background, and they're like, oh, I mean, I wouldn't even understand, like, I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. It's so hot out here. It's terrible. Anyone could have fainted at this point.
She's wearing a pantsuit.
Yeah, she's wearing a pantsuit. I hate, whenever, I think, I heard one time that they made her like Twitter, like real, like, oh, I'm just like one of the people. And then I looked at it one time, it says pantsuit aficionado. And I'm like, this is reason enough alone for me to want you to die in your sleep. And oh God. Anyway, it's just like, we'll just say whatever as long as it's kind of what's given to us, which is what we were doing with Wikipedia. It's just copy, paste.
Right. I will say, though, that's not entirely illegitimate. I mean, there's definitely value to be had in curating, where you find good stuff, give it your own spin, make it better, put it with some other of your own personality, or some other content that fits your own personality. I mean, I'm pretty okay with that. I mean, I know I just made fun of schools for teaching you to regurgitate, but if you're going to add your own spin and curate it, I mean, that's okay. I'm all for it, right? I mean, is that fair?
I mean, it's a way of doing something. It's a way of making content. I remember someone
I don't believe there's any truly original content.
Yeah, it all comes from somewhere.
Right. Well, that's not, if you literally copied and pasted, that better not be truly original. But you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe, I know I'm just
original's pretty relative. We use original because certain things don't remind you of other things as much, but nothing like no. Music isn't you don't live in a vacuum. Like, creative people don't live in a vacuum. So every single thing they do, whether it's crossing over different ways of expressing things, and like even like something you write can be influenced by music, and technically then that just it having the influence means that it's not original.
Where did music come in?
Because I was saying, like, even the influence that like music can give someone to write something or to make a movie, or like vice versa, it's still then not original. Like, it's pretty clear in like music stuff that like people do songs all the time that are like based off of movies or something like that.
Yeah.
Where you're just like taking, and it's like it's original. No one goes after them with like a copyright thing, but it's not technically original. Like it's original as far as how we use the word, just to mean you're not completely ripping something off.
Right. I could agree with that. I know I just made fun of schools for teaching students to regurgitate, information.
Be a good citizen.
But I do agree with that. As long as it's not exactly the same, then it is yours. It is something you created. And if I was a teacher and I had to grade it, I would not necessarily dock it just for being the same information that you read somewhere else. I mean, that's everything anywhere ever, comes from somewhere else.
You already put too much thought into this, Daniel. You'd be a terrible teacher. You need to be grading these papers like, no, fuck him, yeah, I'll give you an A, fuck him, fucking give you an
A. Sure, fine. All I was going to say is I wouldn't want to ever be a teacher, but if I was, what I would be looking for is, is he genuinely trying to express what he thinks in addition to this other information, and with respect to this other information. And I don't mean respect like honor. I just mean, is he collecting this information and responding to it in a meaningful way? I guess that's what I would look for, but maybe that's why I'm not a teacher. So
it's looking too in depth.
Yeah. So, well, I know we meant to sort of, talking about business ethics and stuff, and what do we do about businesses that might just do this kind of stuff. We intended to also bring this back around to John and make fun of him for working for a bank, which
Before
I think we still...
we didn't really define what clickbait ends up being, though.
Hold on. I'm not even there yet. I'm before we even do that, I want to keep things where they are, talking about creativity and such, and turn that over to John to talk about music, and because he's an artist and he writes and records a lot of his music.
Excuse me, Daniel. I'm an artist too, a fledgling one. Okay, just because I use a different way of expression.
What kind of art do you make?
I make laugh art, Daniel. I bring joy to people's hearts. God damn, you don't. This is the
Tim,
problem.
you gotta make an album.
Anything.
You got to make your first stand-up album, and we'll sell it on the show.
Just because you doing stand-up now?
I'll do my comedy, and it'll just be like either silent, or then I'll just have like a laugh track in the background. It won't be recorded live.
Stand-up?
I've just been going to different bars down in Pittsburgh, and then I went to
people do that.
Yeah. I went to a roast battle in at the Improv on the waterfront. It wasn't good. Everybody was like the host was drunk. He was just like the first people that went on. He was like, fuck these guys, they're terrible. Just send them all.
All right, so I'm going to, first of all, before we even get to what I just said, I'm going to apologize to our audience, because one of our long-time critiques of the show is that we ramble on and we go on tangents and we get confusing and stuff, and we're probably doing that quite a bit today. I'm not completely proud of the flow of today's show so far, so I'm going to apologize for going all over the place, but that's also just who we are and what we do. So there's that. But then,
this is gonzo journalism.
Exactly. This is just, we're right in the trenches with you guys.
Right.
Just
blame
blame
I still
Jameson.
Tim, you're not helping the issue here, okay? All right. I still want to bring it to John to ask about music and how this discussion about creativity and copying content, and even, I don't know, John, is there any clickbait in music? Is there listen bait in music? Do they give...
Yeah, you could go. I could link you on YouTube tons of videos of people teaching classes about writing pop music, and there's all kinds of rules about what will make your song. It seems like there's more rules about what will make your song not popular, because sometimes you might do all the right things and it just doesn't always work. But I mean, there's like the one guy that I was watching, he has like a specific time frame in which he has to get to the chorus. Like from the start of the song, he has this many seconds before it has to be the chorus. He doesn't like, it's not in first person unless the first person, like the narrator, is basically the perfect human being.
Okay,
like you're not allowed to complain, you're not allowed to preach, and you're not allowed to, I don't know, basically like nothing where you're feeling sorry about yourself. This will never become a popular song. And it's interesting because this guy is like, if you don't want to write songs like this, don't do it. You can go and be whatever, like Joni Mitchell or something like that. But I'm teaching you how to write songs that will get you paid.
Yeah.
And like that's his whole, like he was very utilitarian about it. And it's a craft. And
that seemed like what pop seemed to be. In, like I was, because I was always like, well, I don't know what the fuck, like what makes pop music. I looked it up and the description at least said, like they mentioned the thing about chorus has to be quick and has to be repeated
catchy.
A few times.
Yeah.
I mean, that, yeah, but that's, they weren't, yeah, but they weren't talking.
Repeat stuff. That's Bo Burnham.
Friday. But they mentioned specifically that it's much more focused on the recording aspect of it versus the just making this. I don't know if that's
versus
how we'll describe
the content
it.
versus the words.
Yeah, the actual quality of the music is second to the crispness of the recording. Or like,
okay,
like how challenging, not challenging, because like most of the stuff is second to the recording, this like the crispness of it and how tight you can make it in
the production quality
stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of like exactly what we do with our show. Like we'll ramble on about God knows what, but if that audio quality isn't good, I'm gonna beat you to death, Tim. So I mean, it's pretty much exactly what we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly
it's not at all.
It's not necessarily just the recording quality. It's almost just the mindset that you approach it with.
Well,
this is actually, if you've ever watched Vsauce, he talks about this in one video. I don't remember what video it is, but he's basically explaining that over time, the complexity of movies has actually increased.
Okay.
And the complexity of pop music has decreased. And he said it's because people intake both of these for different reasons. And generally, people go to movies to be stimulated. And people listen to music to have a need fulfilled. So writing good pop songs is basically knowing exactly what people want and giving it to them exactly how they want it.
I know what you want, and I'm gonna give it how you want.
So it has nothing to do with like expressing or trying to get across some idea or trying to get people to like go out of themselves and understand somebody else's point of view or something like that. It's basically just it's not even escape. It's more just like
movies are too. But like you go to a movie to watch the movie, you listen to music because you're on the bus or you're at the gym. It's kind of just like white noise almost.
Yeah.
But it has to have a certain amount of stimulation just to like keep you from falling asleep, you know?
Yeah.
It's just it's like scratching an itch basically.
Yeah. Oh,
it's like
I would
you
say
want to hear certain things. You want the chorus to come at this point, so it's better come at this point. And if it doesn't, you're losing interest because you don't actually want to put thought into it. You just want it to happen to you.
Yeah. I think that's pretty fair. I mean, for me and for most occasionally, especially having known you for a long time, John, you helped encourage me to do this when you sent me all that music and got me hooked on some of it. But so occasionally I will sit down and just lay there and listen to an entire album and pay attention to it. But it's also very common for me to just, like you said, white noise. It's, while I'm driving, while I'm working, it's just in the background, and I don't want, like you said, I don't want to put thought into it. and figure out what it's saying or what's happening. I just want to feel it and know what I'm feeling, know what I expect, and have it be exactly that. I think that makes perfect sense. I do want to ask, though, about this first YouTube video you were saying where the guy was telling you how to write pop songs. Was he successful? I mean, it was...
Oh, yeah.
Is he like an actual pop writer?
Yeah, he's done a lot of country stuff. But yeah, he's had dozens of number ones or like top 5 or whatever, like throughout his career. He's a pretty old guy.
Okay.
I don't even remember what his name is, but I could find the video, I'm sure, if I wanted to.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool, first of all. I guess I'll go ahead and say that we'll put it in the show notes. Hopefully I actually remember to do that, and I'll have to ask you for that, John. But yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. But just speaking of country, and also speaking of Bo Burnham, he did a pretty similar song mocking country music, and he did his whole deep voice, and he's like, pandering to you white people who never done a hard day's work in your life, and that kind of stuff. But then I listened to that. I just saw it on Facebook or something, and I had seen it before, and I watched it maybe like 2 weeks ago. And then just the other day, I heard an actual country song on the radio, and it literally felt so sarcastic. It felt like the singer knew that he was like nothing he was saying was serious, and he's just like, I'm just gonna say this because it feels good. There's dirt roads and big trucks and hot women. Like, it literally just
felt... a lot of it has become... It's started to become self-aware.
Exactly. Country. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't just bad. It felt like sarcastically bad. Like, he knows that it's a joke what he's doing. He knows that he's a millionaire who never worked on a farm, but he's just having a good time and capturing you and making you feel something. I don't know. It just felt sarcastic, and I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is, I used to hate all the pop music stuff, and it's not something that I listen to normally, but over time and watching videos like the one I was talking about, that guy actually tells some kind of story where like he was on a plane or something, and the person next to him asked him what he did, and he said he was a songwriter, and she was like, well, I'm a songwriter too. And he's like, oh, really? What songs have you written? And she was like, well, I just like play my own songs around my house or whatever. And he's like, well, you're not a songwriter. This is my job. I make money off of this. I write number one songs. And I don't know. It's just people think that because a pop song does certain things and because it's meant to appeal to the lowest common denominator, that it's easy to write, but not if everybody could write a number one song, everybody would have done it.
Yeah,
it's not that easy.
Well, it's the same thing as writing just like pulp stuff in a book. It's gonna be pulp books or like those books you see in like Walmart where people must just be just churning the stupid things out, which something, but it's like it seems easy, but like that's almost why we like it that much, because it seems easy, it seems stupid, and I'll just pay 99 cents for this song, and just whatever, I don't give a fuck, or I'll just take it, it doesn't matter.
In reality, a lot of the worst music is not pop music, it's music by people who've never been heard by anybody, and there's a reason why they've never been heard by anybody. You can say that you hate pop music and that it appeals to the lowest common denominator, and that it doesn't do anything risky or whatever or original, which we've already debunked or talked about or whatever before, but it's not the worst music,
at least
because
it appeals to some denominator, some kind of denominator. It's not
and it takes a certain talent. Like, if you don't understand what people want to hear and how to achieve that, you can't write a pop song.
I didn't know how well that this whole music discussion was going to apply to the clickbait stuff that we were talking about earlier. And I just kind of asked you about music just because. But I think what you just said, John, actually applies almost exactly to what we do too. I'm not gonna.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, like
I think I already know what you're gonna say.
Yeah,
you don't understand the cryptocurrency world like I do.
The articles we write are so incredibly structured, down to the paragraph length and the word length and the title. It's like we do data analysis on all this, and we need this many paragraphs, and we need an ad every this many paragraphs. It's exactly what you said about music, John. It's a talent, and our titlers are full-time people who are very skilled at what they do, and it works.
And do you think they get offended if somebody's like, well, I could write clickbait titles, they're just trash?
I mean, they're better than that. They won't actually get offended, but it is
you know what
slight.
I mean.
Yeah, exactly. And just like you said, yes, it appeals to the lowest common denominator. That's why we have millions of likes on Facebook or whatever, and hundreds of thousands of people on our email list, because almost anyone can consume it in at least somewhat in an at least somewhat meaningful way. And yeah, it sounds easy, and it sounds like you're just doing, I don't know. I don't think
sometimes you don't like. Sometimes, like you were saying, Daniel, that you'll listen to good stuff in white noise. John kind of did the same thing to me as far as like getting me actually into music. Like I think I listened to a Rush CD before 7th grade whenever I broke my leg, and John just gave me like 10 CDs. But then for a while, I didn't listen to like anything besides what I had to when I was riding the school bus, just on the radio. But kind of more recent, or just like the last year, like sometimes I just don't listen to certain things that like I enjoy. I can't listen to it now because I do want to pay attention.
Oh yeah.
Like if I'm working, or I don't want to listen to something that's like this structured 15-minute long song, because then I'll like, oh wait, I have to pay attention for a little bit. Because I did that. I tried doing that for like certain, or like I listen to stuff at the gym, and then I'd be like, all right, wait, I have to wait, because then I'll be all like pumped up, and then you have to wait like 5 minutes, because it's not like, if I go to the gym or if I'm working, but especially like the gym, it's retarded, dumbed down, like deathcore or electro or EDM stuff, where it's just like, all right, in the next 3 seconds, there's going to be another, like, it's just like, you just need some kind of stimulation just to make you think you need to do things faster, or even work. Like, you need something. You can, like, it's just, I can sing this in my head for like 5 hours and I won't get tired.
Yeah. If I'm it depends what kind of work. If it's mindless work, if I'm on the tractor for 6 hours at a time, then I'll listen to Tool. I'll listen to Sigur Rós. I'll listen to John's actual albums. But if I'm at work in the office and I need to think about stuff, yeah, then it's my go-to right now is kind of house, chill, electronic kind of stuff. So, or no, even the better term that I like is trance. That's been my go-to quite a bit lately.
No, I mean, that's not bad.
I mean, I have stuff like that too. Like, I guess the stuff that I listen to, probably none of it people would consider to be like white noise kind of music. But just because I write music, the things that I'm looking for are different, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's like, but there's still plenty of times where I just want something on, and I don't want to like really pay attention that much. I just want it there. I do that all the time. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong about that.
I honestly don't always mind clickbaity articles either. Like, sometimes I'll just be like, yeah, no, I do want to know the 10 things that people do. And like, sometimes like, no, I will. Because like, eventually it gets you.
Certain days I'll just read through like 20 of them in a row. Exactly. I'm like, I had nothing to do for an hour. Like, who cares?
It's true.
This is better than sitting around doing nothing, like, wishing I had something to do.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll take that as a compliment. But I would actually.
I mean, not your clickbait.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Shit. I was just gonna say ours is pretty different. We don't often do. Well, we have a variety of sites, so some of it is like that.
A variety,
but the bulk of it is not so much like the 10 dumbest things you do when you're in the shower. It's a lot of it's political and crap, and personally, I don't find it that interesting. But the lowest common denominator, the bulk of America, finds that just as interesting as your silly cat pictures or whatever. So Anyway,
I much prefer 10 celebrities when they were 5 years old,
yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah,
stuff
exactly.
Like that.
Are you tired of Bitcoin dice and ready for something different? Try Lucky Bit, the original falling coin game, at luckybit. It's the most exciting Bitcoin game on the web. You can bet on 5 different payout lines and win up to 999 times your bet. You can even use their faucet to get some free Bitcoin. Dice is boring. Play different at Lucky Bit. Check it out at luckybit. We got some time left here, and I still want to make some time to harass John for working at a bank. So I think I'll probably run a commercial in there somewhere, and we'll switch gears a little bit here. And I want to know, John, does any of this apply to your job at the bank? Do you think that it takes a special talent to appeal to people in a job that some people think is not that great? I don't know. Does what I just said even make sense? Is this even
How did you learn to sleep with yourself at night?
Or should we just open up a whole new conversation about it?
Well, I don't think it relates that much,
all right,
really. But we could open up a whole new conversation if you really want to.
Well, so the whole idea talking about, business practices, like we sort of said at the beginning, that was kind of going to be the main topic. I still have no idea what I'm actually going to call this show, what it's actually been about. But the idea was that, okay, so clickbait seems kind of sketchy, but, there's a place for it. And in many, it might even take some talent to create, and it makes money and all that stuff. And so the idea was I just wanted to make excuses for my job that some people think is kind of sketchy. And so I want to know if you can do the same thing, or how you justify your job that probably equally as many people think is kind of sketchy. Just what is it? I mean, what do you, obviously you don't have to get into it too much. It's kind of personal, and this is kind of a public place. But what do you think about, whether it's your own job or just in general, the idea of having a job that some people don't like? What does that mean to you? What do you do to kind of mitigate that and to make sure you're actually doing good as much as you can?
Yeah. I mean, I have lots of thoughts about that.
All right.
First thing to get off the table, I guess, is that I don't think that banks are inherently evil.
Okay, that's totally fair. They've become evil in a lot of ways. But the idea of keeping money and making interest, that's totally legit for libertarians and the free market and everything.
Well, I mean, also, you can't really say a lot of the stuff that they do is actually immoral because
we still put our money there.
Yeah, it's totally
it's a voluntary exchange. I mean, it's not
right.
People should maybe make the decision earlier, but I mean, they can kind of fuck with you, but you can always take your money out.
True.
Unless they're doing something, yeah.
And I mean, if you want to talk about bailouts or something like that, that's not the banks.
Right.
Maybe they asked for it, but they're not the ones who actually did the bailing out.
Exactly.
Or things like that.
That's what I was just going to say is, you're right. The main target might just be the Fed. The ones who, we just talked about, I think 2 weeks ago, episode 138, we just talked about how devastating inflation can be. And that's all thanks to the Fed. And so maybe there is a different subset, different corners of the banking market, and maybe on average it's pretty legit. I'm with you there. So that's a good start. I don't know what else you got.
Yeah, so that's point one, that banks are not inherently evil. Point two is kind of...
He had this planned. He's been writing this outline up for a week
I have
now.
a whole outline right now.
I literally just came up with this, but I've thought about it so many times that it all just came back
snaps
at once.
into place.
It's I've thought about it, so it's really easy to organize it into points now. But point two is related to point one, sort of. What the bank that I work for does is so complicated, and the bank is so big, and there are so many people that work for it. I really have no idea what we do. I have like such the most high level understanding of what we actually do that I can't even really make moral judgments about it.
Yeah.
Because well, I mean, there's just so much
Ignorance is
complexity to
bliss.
it that the morality of it would go down to individual people's jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's tens of thousands of people working for this place.
Okay. I
think that's how they do it, though, right? Like, that's
Exactly.
the best way to make, yeah.
I can understand that scenario, but I think that's part of the original question we've been having about business ethics. What about that then? How do you feel about working for a place where you don't even know what they do? It might be good, it might be bad. You don't even know about the liars and the cheats who work on the floor above you. I mean, I'm not saying those exist, but if you don't know, well, how does that fit into your business ethics? Are you worried about anything like that?
Yeah, so I was going to get to that. We've talked about this before, and I guess I should clarify that I do understand, like, why the bank exists. It's more just the actual practical way that things get done.
Yeah, I could see that.
That I have almost no idea how it works. And there's like tons of people who just work in finance, and I don't know anything about finance.
Right.
Just like balancing the books for the bank itself, not even doing anything for clients. And like, I don't understand how that works. I mean, the thing that we have talked about before is, I think we've talked about it before. I know I've talked about it with you guys personally, but maybe we haven't talked about it on the podcast, is that there's immoral people working for every single company that has ever existed.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, can I buy shoes from,
You gotta just make your own bank, man.
Maybe like a place like Tom's or whatever, where they're like, a lot of people think they're like a moral company because they donate one pair of shoes for every pair of shoes that somebody buys. But if one guy who works there is a complete jerk and he screws over other employees so that he can get ahead and stuff like that, can I not buy shoes because they were made by him or because he works at the company?
Right.
If the entire point of the company's existence is something that I don't agree with, that's a different matter. But if there are people who work there who do things that I don't agree with,
okay.
If you want to try to avoid that, then you can't live at all. You can't interact with anybody in the world.
That's true. I think I agree with that. Now, let me ask John. I have a couple things. Well, yeah, I'll start there. The question, I think, based on your response, I think the question becomes not. The question is not, is the company bad and am I doing. Well, actually, the question is, am I doing bad things or could I be doing better things? So it's not about so much the company and what they do as a whole. I mean, obviously, you contribute to that whole, so your role in the company matters. And so then you need to ask yourself, am I doing anything bad or could I be doing anything better? And that's where I think often.
That leads me to point 3.
All right, take it away. It might be the same thing I was going to say, so go for it.
Yeah. Well, so point 3 was because I can't base my interaction with people and my interaction with companies and my interaction with the world or whatever and products that I buy, I can't base all that stuff on other people's moral decisions. The only thing that I can control is my own.
Right.
And so at that point, the question becomes, well, so this is an interesting thing. I'm completely discarding that last sentence that I started.
All right.
I don't know. I think this is an interesting idea. If you have issues with how something is done, like how a company is run or how an industry is run, shouldn't that be like one of the places that you should most consider working because you think that you have a better idea of how it should be done?
Totally fair. Totally
Maybe
fair.
That's the same thing as saying, like, why don't you change the government from inside? I can understand
I'm not
that
saying
as like
you have a responsibility.
No,
people
don't say they have
hear
a
what I'm not
responsibility.
saying. I'm saying if you actually want to do something about it and not just complain, wouldn't you want to work somewhere where you think that you know how to improve it.
That's exactly something I was planning to get to here pretty soon. And the thing is, Tim, yeah, changing the government from the inside out, it can sound pretty sketchy, but if you know you have the ability to do it successfully, then you still would do it. I mean,
but
no
then
one
show
really...
me someone who can do any of this. Like, neither one of you are going to be changing your job right now.
No.
If you're going to make that argument.
So that was going to be another point that I was going to make also. That, I mean, my job is a software developer, and I work at a bank that's been around for a really long time, and they have lots of really terrible software there. And they've actually been doing a really good job, at least in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of a lot of people, as compared to other competitors in their industry, of updating stuff and doing things the right way this time around. They're one of the banks that's like doing this better within their certain field, or whatever you want to call it, within their niche. And on a personal level, what I'm doing right now is that I'm actually writing software for our internal help desk. And it's kind of hilarious because my partner who's working on this project with me has had to make like requests for software and stuff like that internally. And he's been using the software that we're writing to like monitor that stuff, because the software that's actually available right now that everybody uses is so terrible. So like, he's been using our software to check updates on software that he needs to get to start to continue working on the software that we're making.
Yeah, I'm with you there, John. You can do good things for bad companies, I think. I know what you mean, Tim. You're not going to redesign the entire banking industry, but the idea is there's two main factors at play, I think. Number one is, like we said, it's probably the best thing for John right now. And this is what I say about my own job too. I'm not proud of everything that we do, but for myself and even for my own causes for liberty and whatnot, and since I'm young, it's a really, really, really good place for me to get experience as a web developer, for me to learn the industry, and and make money so I can kickstart my life. And I don't plan to commit my entire life to this company. And maybe you're laughing because people get trapped in stuff like this a lot.
No,
it's possible.
Out of all the people that I know, Daniel, you're not the one that's going to get, I don't think is going to be the one that's going to get trapped in it, because you'll just bitch at me long enough that I'll be like, God damn it, Daniel, I will shoot you. I will fly down and shoot you if you don't quit right now.
I could see it. But hold on, I have to get the factor number two. Number one is just, it's the best thing. It's the best thing for John, the best thing for me to get experience, to get some money, to learn the industry. And then in the future, we can take it in a direction that we would more prefer and have the ability to make a more meaningful, more moral change or impact on the world, whatever we want. But then factor number two is that if John wasn't there, he's a software developer. There's a million other software developers in line behind him. Okay, so they're going to hire someone who is not as good as John. I mean, that's why he got hired, because he was the best one on the list. If they didn't hire him, they would hire someone who's not as good at software and who has probably a lower view. I mean, obviously, everyone thinks their view of morality is the highest. But from our perspective, if John wasn't there, then someone with a bad set of morals would probably be the one to step in and take his place. So that's the alternative.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, it's John has the ability to be, like you said, you want to work there because everything that goes on there near you has to go through you and has to go around you. And if you really think it's a bad place, that means that you can impact it. You're not going to revamp it. I get that, Tim. You're not going to overthrow the government because you're the mayor of some little town. But at least you have the ability to make impacts where you can. And bonus, it's probably the best thing for your career at the time, too. So what else would you do, right?
Just because I want to have...
That goes back to the thing where I was saying, like, if you do have any desire to make changes, why wouldn't you want to work there?
Right. Yeah.
And I guess that's the assumption what you're saying is like an assumption that I think strengthens that point, that if you don't do it, somebody else is going to be there who's just going to continue the status quo.
Yep, exactly.
So it's if you have the skills to do it and you want to do it, there's really no reason why you shouldn't.
Right, especially if you've thought about your own career and it's the best for you too. So, and that really is. I hope I've made I think I make this clear to you guys and even to the people I work with. I tell them all the time that, like I said, I don't plan to commit my life to this company. I probably don't tell my bosses that, but my peers I do tell that. My goal for years has been to just run my own websites and to work for myself. I would do consulting too, which I've done in the past. I've been a contractor for more liberty-oriented sites. So that is my long-term goal. And I want to get more experience so I can do that better. And obviously the money is not going to hurt that. So that's where I'm at.
Would it be different if you didn't have that plan to do something?
Would what be different?
Would it be worse that you're working for that because I'm not even coming from some place saying that you guys are wrong working that place. I'm coming from more of a place of like what John said about like you can't have a bunch of business. I mean, you can't like have business with people if you're always going to worry about who you're having or who you're buying stuff off of. Same thing with your working. John said maybe if you're against whatever the person's doing, then morally you shouldn't do it. But I don't think that matters either because you're still just signing a contract with them. I'm going to do my work, and it's about whether it bothers you or not. But what I'm asking, like you're saying, it's your defense for why working with your company, which how it's going to change things. Which again, I don't think you can make. You said something about good, and I'm getting off. I'm sorry.
I'm honestly really confused, but yeah, whatever.
Okay,
I'm trying.
You said that your main defense for why it's okay to work at your company for whatever reason you want to defend it against someone saying that you're wrong for doing it because it goes against your political stuff or whatever. Your defense is that you're not planning on continuing to do this. Like, you're not making this your career. Like, you want to do stuff for your own. You're using this as a stepping stone.
Well, no, that's one of two defenses. Yeah. There's a defense.
The other one was... What was the other one?
All right. There's two. The one is that it's the best for me, which I think is what you're saying. It can kickstart a more successful career in the future that I actually support a little more. And the other thing is that, well, it's better for the company and for the morals of the company because everything has to go through me and because apparently I'm the best person for the job. At least that's what they think and what they said. That's why they picked me. So it's better for the company in terms of the work, the morals, and in terms of the morals
they get, yeah. And
it's better for me. That I guess is the argument.
That's where I don't agree with you guys. As far you were saying, if there's a problem with the company, work within it to help change it. And I think, like we said before, something about like that's the way that they're made is it takes away an individual morality. Like that's kind of not the whole point, but that's one of the big points of a larger. It separates things from other things, so it's not like.
Still really confused.
Okay,
just say it in one sentence. What is your argument?
Said it before.
Well,
I asked you, is it different just because you're going to get a job from would it be bad, or however you're meaning that, would it be bad for you to work at this company now if you were planning on just staying there? Because, okay, it wasn't your only argument, it was your second one, but you still said...
No, I think that...
Why would that be bad? It's still just working a job, you're getting a paycheck.
Right, I wouldn't call it bad overall, I mean, it's not bad
comparatively
in and of itself, because of that other defense where it's better for the company. It gets, I apparently I do the best work for them, and I could filter a lot of the stuff through my moral eyeglass or whatever.
That's not your job though, because you start doing that, you're not going to be doing your job well.
Maybe the thing is
that's what I'm saying. Like, corporations take out a individual morality.
That's not necessarily true.
I know what you mean.
So I can give an example. So we had at my job, we got a lecture from a guy who's a programmer at the company, and he was teaching us a certain style of programming. And essentially, what he said, there was one point where somebody asked a question. What he was talking about, I guess I could say it. Maybe not everybody will understand. If you're a programmer, you might know this, but like he was explaining how to do test-driven development, which is like a very specific way of programming, and he was arguing that it's inherently better than any other way of programming. And one thing is that it does take longer to program stuff if you're doing test-driven development. And somebody asked the question, what happens when your manager says he doesn't care how you code it, he just wants it done by the end of this week? And how do you explain to him that this is actually going to be better if I do it this way? And the guy basically said, well, you tell your manager he's an idiot because you respect your profession. and that's like a moral judgment for the good of the company.
Yeah.
That's not just you doing what they told you to do.
Yeah, Tim.
But that has nothing to do with like trying to change the entire like what the company does and like take it over and change it from the inside. I wasn't
talking about taking it over.
Within your job, making moral choices that improve the overall quality of the company.
That's not a moral choice though, because it's not like making one company better isn't necessarily a positive thing. Like for everybody.
He was saying it's a moral choice to respect your own work and to do a good job instead of doing a crappy job.
That's not a moral thing.
That is totally a moral. Yes, it is.
Tim,
people have to be shitty at what?
I'm going to agree that corporations tend to strip your morals, to just put you in a cubicle and make you just do what they say. That they tend to do that.
I wasn't even meaning it like that.
But it doesn't mean that you're not there. You're still doing stuff around other people, and they see that, and you do the best that you can, and you provide the best advice.
I'm talking about the
meetings.
division of labor. I'm not saying you're all just like, I have no problem with like a corporation. I'm not like, oh, they're all just mindless drones. I'm talking about the division of work. It takes away any kind of like, you're not making, and I guess technically at the top you could be maybe, but it doesn't really boil down to like actual morality in the decision of your workplace. Like, is it a moral decision for you to spend 10 more minutes on your job than like a little bit less? That's not a moral decision.
No. I said I think I differentiated that. I said it's better for the company in terms of work, and just in general, you're there, so you have your moral impact as much as you can. Sure, it might not be a lot, but you have some level of moral impact just because you're there. You're around people, regardless of the company. There have been cases at my company where a pretty bad article, morally corrupt article was posted, and someone from a completely different department said that probably shouldn't be up there, and it got taken down. How is that not a moral impact? Because
we're coming from different arguments of what morality is. That's the whole issue.
You could say that anything's not a moral issue if you really wanted to, and like, how am I going to refute that? But to me,
that's why it's not a moral issue.
I think the question of knowingly doing your job worse than you could is a moral issue.
You do that every single day. Every single day you do a job, you don't do it exactly
I'm not
the best
talking
you could.
About doing...
Yeah, and does every single day, do you not make inferior moral choices? Do you not make bad choices every single day?
Yeah, but you guys are saying that you're making a moral difference.
How does the fact that you do it every day make it not moral?
I didn't say that it wasn't. I was saying that it's an issue because you're never putting 100% of yourself into that work. If you're going to make it a moral issue, then you have to put 100%.
That's not even true, though. Nobody follows their own morals to the T. Nobody does that.
Okay,
you can't say just
morals.
because you fail to live up to your own standard makes it not a standard.
Also, I've been trying to say this for 6 minutes now.
Yeah, I can't because then nobody goes out to the standard, so there is no standard. What? Because you can't talk right now, Daniel?
I've been trying to for 6 minutes now.
You just talked 2 minutes ago.
All right, so for 2 minutes now. No, somehow I just explained how I was separating out the good work from the good morals. Somehow you keep saying that because you're working harder means that you're having good morals or something. Those are two different things. Often, not, you can draw connections or whatever, but still, I'm not saying that you're going to do better work or do better programming because of your moral impact. Those are two different things. But my point is, I don't care what you think is a moral issue, what you think is good, what you think is bad. I don't care what you're saying morals are or what they aren't. However you're defining morals, whatever you think is good. If you think it's good to grow long hair, then you can do that when you're at the office. You can tell other people to do that and you can support it. So I don't care what is moral or what is immoral or what is even a moral issue or what is not even a moral issue. My point is that regardless of any of that, you are there. You have an impact on what gets done and how you impact the people in the office. And often a company as a whole impacts, the world or the country or the city or whatever. So I don't know why we're arguing about what's moral and what's not. All I'm saying is
that's what the original question was, I think.
No, so all I'm saying is
I
you
think
have
I
an
get
impact.
What you're saying.
That's all I'm saying is you have an impact. Whatever you want that impact to be. I get what you're saying,
Daniel. You keep on telling me.
So if that guy who talked to us thinks that writing test-driven code is a moral issue, he can do that. And he can try to convince as many other people as he knows to also do that. And that's, to him, a moral impact because he sees that as a moral issue. You telling him that it's not a moral issue doesn't
That itself is an impact. You could go work there and be like, actually, that's not a big issue. And there you go. You had your impact.
That's a great
all
point.
I'm saying is whatever you want, whatever you support in life, you can have that impact at the office and any time. No matter what you believe or no matter what they believe. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I think...
That's all I wanted to hear, Daniel, that it doesn't matter. Because you were coming up with all kinds of excuses as to why it's moral. That's all I was getting. You were saying, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't care what's moral or what's not moral, as long as it's something you want to do. I was like, all right, yeah. There.
Okay. Real quick, hopefully this is just about a minute and we can wrap up. But I still backing all the way up to your question about would it be worse if you didn't plan to do better things in the future? That's what kind of kicked off all that. And all I was trying to explain is in itself, if I didn't have plans to do better things in the future, in itself working there would not be bad. It just wouldn't have as much purpose behind it. It wouldn't be as helpful. And it might not lead to things that I think are good. So I certainly think it's way, way better that you do have plans and you do have, a reason for what you're doing now. If you don't think it's perfect, obviously, no one's ever perfect, but you're at least trying to do stuff that you think is better. And that's, I think I am. I hope I am. But I guess that remains to be seen. Someday I'll be, 75 years old and crying because
I was supposed to make a website.
I know. What have I done with my life? All right. That was I like to occasionally do some full disclosure at the very end. And I'll admit again, as I said kind of at the beginning, that was a bit of a sketchy episode. We did ramble quite a bit. Tim was more confusing than usual, which is saying a lot. But I think we made it together. We made it work a little bit, and we brought it together somewhat. So that's our episode for today. Any closing remarks, guys? Actually, we have to do real quick, like seriously real quick, because I don't feel like editing a crap ton this week. Real quick, advice of the week, guys. Let's do like 10 seconds each, and then we'll move on. Go, Tim.
So Daniel's being very petty to me. I wish everybody wouldn't be so petty to their friends. Goodbye. Have a good week.
All right. You got anything, John, or you want me to go?
What about his 10-second limit, motherfucker?
No, I said 10 seconds each. I said that at the beginning. All right, my advice, I'm going to try to keep it equally as quick, and it's pretty much just what I said. Yeah, it might not be terrible to be stuck in a regular job and just get a paycheck. It's not the worst thing in the world. You can still have a good time, but try to have aspirations, try to plan to do great things, and try to succeed at those plans. So that's it from me. All right, John.
Don't
close
plan,
us off.
do.
Wait, why am I closing us off?
Wait, because you still have to go.
You asked me.
Wait.
I thought you were just skipping me.
Oh, I didn't realize you said nothing.
I just heard him mumble like, I don't know.
I don't have anything except I want both of you to shut up.
Yeah, that's
all right.
right.
That's John's advice. We'll shut up.
Dude,
so we're out of here, guys.
Be great.
Come back next Thursday. All the music that you're listening to right now is from the master, the one and only John Stewart. Also, get to you, me, and BTC.com for lots more You, Me, and BTC. Peace, guys.
Check out the garb.
Money. I be rolling with Satoshi. What you gonna doshi? All this money that I got make me richy. I got Bitcoin. I'm so rich. Money. I'm so rich. Money. I'm so